So as expected, Apple released 4 new iPhones today. We have the brand new iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus. Then there's the iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max. There's a new design and new features, new processors, new buttons, if you can believe it. So let's talk about everything that's new with the new iPhones, and then I'll tell you which one I plan on buying. So let's go ahead and get started with the new design. With the new iPhone 15 and 15 Pro, we have new rounded design. So instead of this really squared off edges on the iPhone 14 and 13 and 12, all the way back to the iPad Pro in 2018, we're now going to get a slightly rounded edge. And rumors have been talking about that for quite some time. I've seen lots of different mock-ups, and I'm actually slightly disappointed that it's not going to be more rounded. I was expecting something more like the rounded edges of the iPhone 5C, which were pretty pronounced, but I don't see that from the photos in the video today. But either way, I'm interested to get that in my hand because a lot of people have been complaining about the sharp edges of the existing iPhones lately, especially with the Pro and Pro Max models because they're so heavy. And that's a big change as well. With the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, it is now made out of titanium instead of stainless steel, which should significantly reduce the weight of the Pro models. The big benefit of the titanium iPhone is going to be the lower weight and the strength that it has compared to steel at a much lighter weight. So it's the same titanium that's used in space and other planets apparently, and it comes in a cool blue color and other gray colors. And now a big change that goes all the way back to the original iPhone is the removal of the mute switch on the Pro and Pro Max models. So replacing the mute switch is going to be the action button. That is a customizable button that will allow you to do certain things like start the flashlight or start the camera or take a photo or set it to run shortcuts or accessibility features or whatever else you might want. I don't know that I'm super excited about losing that mute switch. I mean, sure, it's probably going to be nice to have an ability to easily pull up the camera rather than touching the screen and then touching the camera button, but the muscle memory is so built in at this point that this is a mute switch. So by default, it will still be a mute switch, but you have to tap and hold rather than flick it to the side. So that will probably take some getting used to. And the final design change is going to be the removal of the lightning port at the bottom and the replacing it with USB-C. It has been 10 years since we've had lightning, and finally we're moving to a new port. So you would expect that we're getting great things with this new connection, right? Well, kind of. So with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, you're just getting the same old regular USB 2 speeds, which is pretty disappointing. It's 2023. With the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, you do get USB 3 speeds, which will be nice. You get up to 10 gigabits per second, which makes transferring photos and videos and other large files from your iPhone to a computer much, much faster than USB 2. USB also has other benefits like faster charging capabilities or lossless audio, or in the case of the Pro and the Pro Max, you can actually do ProRes video directly to an external SSD, which is pretty cool. I think a lot of professionals are going to try that and have some fun with it. Then there's AV output, and you can use this port with regular DisplayPort to basically output 4K HDR video to a display or a TV or whatever, so that's pretty cool. Now, Apple does not include the USB 3 cable with the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, even though it has USB 3. So you're going to have to buy that separately, which just feels kind of crazy. And you know what else Apple doesn't put in the box? A charger. Yeah, so luckily our sponsor Ugreen can actually help with that. This is the Ugreen Nexode RG 30-watt charger, and this is the cutest, most unique charger that I've ever seen. The Robot GAN, or RG, is a 30-watt GAN charger with a friendly face that lets you know when your device is charging. This will charge all of your family devices like phones, tablets, laptops, or gaming devices, and more. At 30 watts, this RG is able to charge up your iPhone 14 Pro to 50% in just 30 minutes, or allow you to charge and keep playing your favorite game. And when charging is complete, the friendly face will change to let you know you can unplug. The unique design of the Robot GAN is also a protective shell for added durability, and when I showed this to my wife, she almost died and said she wants one for her desk. Of course, the RG also employs the Ugreen tech that you expect, like thermal guard protection, which checks the temperatures 238 times per second, and GAN Fast tech for fast, energy-efficient, cool, and compact devices. If you want to power up with Robot GAN, you can pick one of these new RG chargers from Ugreen up today by using the link and code in the description below, and my thanks to Ugreen for sponsoring this video. The iPhone 15 and 15 Plus got some big upgrades on the front of the iPhone as well, starting with that dynamic island. So yeah, that cute little thing at the top that gives you notifications and information about Uber and a pizza delivery and your flight information and sports scores and whatever other little things, and it's finally come to the lower end iPhones, which is nice. And this is a feature that I've used quite a bit over the last year. When I was traveling in Europe, I used it for my flights and trains, and taxis and other things like that. But at home, I mostly use it for timers, which it works pretty well for. I wouldn't say that the dynamic island is a big selling point, but it is nice that it will be across the entire iPhone line. Now, the rest of the display on the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus also got a big upgrade as well. So now there is the Super Retina XDR display. It has most of the features of the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro line, like the 2000 nits of peak brightness. That is really good for being able to see your phone in direct sunlight outside, which is a big change from the regular 14 line with 1000 nits. You also get the 1600 nits of peak brightness with HDR video, which just makes movies pop on these things. With the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, you get the advanced Super Retina XDR display, Apple says, and that, of course, has ProMotion to be able to ramp up the refresh rate of the display from 1 Hz all the way up to 120. It has the always-on display, and with standby mode new to iOS 17, you actually get persistent standby mode with the iPhone 15, which means that the display can stay on all night to show you an alarm clock or whatever. Moving on to cameras, we're seeing big upgrades in the cameras of 3 of the iPhones this year. With the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, we're getting that 48 megapixel sensor or a similar 48 megapixel sensor that we had in the 14 Pro. That 48 megapixel sensor allows Apple to do its magic and bring that 48 megapixels down to a 24 megapixel photo for a reasonable size while having an incredibly sharp and vivid and bright photo. But one of the best features of the 48 megapixel sensor, in my opinion, is the ability to do a 2x telephoto from the main sensor. Because it's 48 megapixels, Apple can crop into the middle of that big sensor and pull out a 2x photo with full optical quality. That has been one of my favorite features of the iPhone 14 Pro line, and I think it's really cool that it's also on the iPhone 15 now. Now, hardware-wise, I don't think the iPhone 15 Pro got much of an upgrade compared to the iPhone 14 Pro. It still has the main sensor, the ultra-wide, and the 3x telephoto, but now you have the ability to actually shoot 48 megapixel photos by default from the main sensor, which you weren't able to do before. You had to go into Pro RAW mode. So now Apple's Smart HDR5 will allow you to use that full 48 megapixel sensor and do all of its processing magic to give you an amazing high quality 48 megapixel photo. Or so they say. We'll see how amazing it is. And similar to how the 2x photo works on the main sensor in the iPhone 15, in the 15 Pro and Pro Max, you also get the ability to basically zoom in to 24, 28, and 35 millimeter equivalents on that main sensor. This is great because now we just have more default options for focal lengths, and you can actually set your default focal length. And on the Pro Max, that 3x zoom lens becomes a 5x zoom lens with Apple's newly designed tetraprism thing that allows a bunch of pieces of glass to be kind of put together in a different way to create a larger photo. That, along with a 3-axis optical image stabilization sensor, allows you to get up to a 120 millimeter equivalent photo. That's pretty crazy and pretty cool, and I'm really excited to try that out. How it's going to compare to something like the Samsung 100x Super Zoom, I have no idea, but I think the 5x is going to be a big jump from the 3x. And so now with the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, you have 7 different focal lengths that you can choose from, and of course you can digitally go between them, but you go from all the way macro and ultra wide to the main and to the telephoto up to 5x. You get a wide range of photos that you can now take with an iPhone. But there's also additional software features on the cameras for the new iPhones. Both the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro line are going to be getting new camera depth features. So when you shoot photos of people or pets, it's going to basically give you the option for auto portrait mode. The photo is going to create a depth map using 2 cameras, so you have all the information you need to turn a photo into a portrait mode photo. Plus, you have full focus and depth control, so you can actually change the focal point of the video. This is awesome. There was a company called Lytro that tried to do this a number of years ago. They had this rectangular camera that took all the depth information for all kinds of things around it. I think it had a bunch of lenses. And then you could use the software to manually change the focal point of any photo that you took with it. And that's essentially what this is doing, which is pretty darn cool. So I'm, again, really excited to try that out. Now, other software features that both iPhones are getting are SOS with roadside assistance. So you can use satellites if you're out in the middle of nowhere like Death Valley and your car breaks down and you need help. You can call AAA, they'll come get you. Then there's the new ultra-wideband chip, which is the 2nd generation ultra-wideband chip that allows up to 3x range for precision finding. Now moving on to processors with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, again, we're bringing that processor from the iPhone 14 Pro up to the iPhone 15 line. So we get that A16 Bionic chip, which has a 6-core CPU, a 5-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine, and that's a pretty good processor. And inside the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max is the new A17 Pro. Yeah, that's weird, right? Apple announced a new version of processors for the new iPhones. I'm not sure what that's all about, but Apple says it's about 10% faster. I don't know if that's compared to the A16 or whatnot, but they said that the GPU is 20% faster. And again, I'm not sure exactly what that means because the A17 Pro is going to have 6 GPU cores and the A16 has 5 GPU cores. So that's 20% more cores in the A17. So is the only speed improvement coming from that additional core? I don't know. But Apple is saying it has pro-level graphics with hardware ray tracing, and it showed off a little video demo. And I don't know enough about this to really know how awesome that's going to be, but I don't think there's any games that are going to support this right out of the gate. It's going to take some time, and I'm not really sure what the real benefit is going to be of that new GPU until we get games that I guess support that hardware ray tracing. I'll be excited to try it out when they come out, but right now, I'm not sure what it's for. And when it comes to battery, the battery life is basically the same as the iPhone 14 line. You get 29 hours of video playback on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you get 23 on the iPhone 15 Pro, 26 hours on the iPhone 15 Plus, and 20 hours on the iPhone 15. And pricing is almost the same as well, starting at $799 for the iPhone 15. The iPhone 15 Pro starts at $999, and the Pro Max starts at $1199, but that is with 256 gigabytes of storage. So overall, the pricing is the same as the previous generation. However, the largest iPhone comes with 256 gigabytes of storage standard. All right, now I'm going to tell you what I plan on buying, and it's probably not going to be a big surprise, but I do want to say that the iPhone 15 line is a really good lineup. The regular iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus is essentially 95% of what an iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max was, only without all that extra weight and the extra cost, which makes it a really compelling device. I'm not sure that I would tell anybody to go out and buy the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max at this point because the iPhone 15 is going to be so good. Of course, if you're a nerd and you just have to have the best and the biggest and the greatest and the fastest, yes, of course, go get the Pro, and that's what I'm going to do. So yes, I'm going to get the iPhone 15 Pro, and I will be getting the Pro Max. I would much prefer probably to have the regular Pro because of the size and the weight, but because I can only get the newest, greatest camera on the Pro Max, I'm going to have to go with the Pro Max. As far as color, I'll probably get the blue color because it's new and it's blue and why not? But I might also get the white color. I definitely don't want to get the black titanium, and the regular natural titanium looks a little odd to me. Now, when it comes to storage, I am a 256 gigabyte storage person. That's usually the right amount for me because when I go on trips, I take a lot of photos and videos, and at night they upload to iCloud, and then the next day I can do it all over again. And 256 gigabytes seems to be the right amount. And I guess that's it for options. So I'll be getting the 256 gigabyte Pro Max with the blue or the white titanium, and it's gonna cost me $1,199. So I think that covers most of what was announced today at Apple's Wonderlust event. What do you guys think of the new iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Pro Max phones? Are these devices that you're going to be picking up, or are you planning on just sticking with what you have? What do you guys think of the 5x telephoto lens? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're still trying to decide if you should get the Pro or the Pro Max version, or even just the regular 15 or the 15 Plus, and you're worried about the size difference between the two, check out this video right over here, and it should help you out, maybe. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.